Hello viewers, I'm Natalie MacDonald and you're watching Ducoscopy TV. Joining me next in the studio, I've got Sandrine Conti of Prevenir. Sandrine, thank you so much for coming in again.
Thank you for inviting me again.
No problem at all, you're very welcome. Now Sandrine, talk us through the changes that you've noted in the insurance market within the last year.
Okay, the main changes is quite good for the businesses and for the client because it's been a very good catastrophic year. So the capacities, the reinsurance capacities are high, and the reinsurance market is quite soft, and so the insurance market is quite soft too. So this is good news for everybody. What has also been changing, and this is in the last years, and it's coming from this globalization, we have an increase of interdependency risks and also reputational risk. So it means that today to manage all this risk, you really need to have a cross-disciplinary approach. And all company needs to think really ahead of what could happen, and what, for example, if a fire in one of their factory, that can be in India, in China, or elsewhere, or what happened to the factory 2 years ago who collapsed, what can be the chain reaction and how they can be affected on their financial loss, of course, but also on their reputational risk. And this clearly happened, for example, to Zara and to other companies that were manufacturing their clothes in this factory that collapsed because it was totally against their brand reputation to see that they were doing that. So that's, I would say, the main global view on what is happening on the market.
What Dando claims are you noting then?
Okay, so the number of claims first is rising every year and steadily. In Switzerland, up to now, the claims used really to focus on unpaid social insurance, AVS. So it was really, like 80–85% of the claims. This is changing, and as it has been changing elsewhere too, because there is an increase of regulatory risk. Because of all the compliance that has been put in now, during the last years, the claim concerning penal law, criminal law, have been really rising and quite high. So it is important for directors and officers to have this risk in mind, because in D&O, if they have a claim, it's on their personal assets that they have to pay. So if they don't have a protection, if they don't have a contract, this means their family is at risk, not only them, but really their family. So, the penal the defense costs are much higher than civil defense costs. Plus, usually when you have that, you also have fines or penalty. And this is something that they also have to check in their contract. Are they covered for penalties and fine? Because some contract covers that, some do not, and some have a limit that is quite low. So this is really a very big change in terms of D&O, because before that everybody knew it was just they had to be paying AVS and be very wary about that, and that was it.
Okay, well, just to touch on hacking and cyber problems, I'm aware that these have also experienced a dramatic rise. Can you expand on this a little bit for us?
So I've been following that for like the last couple of years, and I've just been amazed this year, of how the cybercrime is increasing worldwide. Of course, we see it a lot in the US and the UK market, but it's also because there is wide media exposure of these claims. And this wide media exposure is not only because there is more claims, but also because the law is different in the US. You have a lot of bills that require the companies to inform authorities and also their client if there is a data breach. And these bills are getting harsher and harsher and broader and broader. Florida just changed a bill from a bill that was already existing to something where, you know, they really require company to take reasonable measures to protect and secure their data, and also to inform and the individuals of data security breaches. When we know how difficult it is to see that you've had a data breach, and then, you know, to require to know exactly what person has uncovered that, that's very complicated. So it's in the US, in the EU, they also changed that, and they require the authority to be informed, and it may change in the next, you know, coming years, that they also require a wide public information. So this is really very important for the company, because they have to think about that and to put that in place. And if you see what happened in the US, the data breaches are still rising. It's the case here, and there is a new threat. Up until now, most of the data breaches came from hackers who were from the US, or a lot from Eastern Europe countries. And Microsoft has very recently uncovered a very efficient system, virus, I think, that was developed in Saudi Arabia and in Algeria. So the risks are just opening, and because the other hackers, most of them, they were looking for money. And here we're going for, you know, what they believe in, and it's very different, and they don't always go for money. So you don't know how to do and where they're going to attack, because you don't have that knowledge that we had before.
You touched on media exposure and also public awareness, but here in Switzerland, if we consider domestically, these occurrences aren't actually that broadly reported within the Swiss media. Does this go some way to explaining the lacking recovery plans many companies do in fact possess? And how should companies be assessing themselves?
Yeah, I think it's due also to you know, the way the Swiss market and the Swiss culture is, which is, you know, to try to negotiate and see things and try to work together and find a good solution. So it is clear that this issue is underestimated in the Swiss market. There is much less media exposure, and even when there is, because there was, for example, for Swisscom in the last month this year, you can feel that the public is just not, you know, doesn't think that it will have a consequence for them. But talking to lawyers who are specialized in cyber activities, what they were telling me is that more and more they have clients, individuals who are coming and not happy about, you know, how it's handled by companies. So I think this will change too. And also there is no law that, like in the US or in the UK. What is certain, and this is true for all companies, is that everyone now needs to really think and have a proper cyber risk assessment, not just general risk assessment, but cyber risk assessment. And also to set up a media plan and a recovery plan, because if you have a breach, you may have also a shutdown. I mean, it's not just, so you may have a recovery plan for breaches and that's it, but you may have, you know, really a shutdown, so you need to have, you know, all the scales of what could happen internally or externally because of a IT problem. And one of the key aspects that is rising right now, because it's a very difficult subject to be able to assess the cyber risk, is critical data encryption. If you have, you know, all the critical data, for example, the personal data from your clients or the payment data from your clients that are encrypted, even if there is a hacking, even if it goes on the web or if there is a rogue employee that puts it on the web, you're fine, because it won't be, you cannot use it. For example, in the States, the companies from the health sector are being hacked and attacked very frequently, very significantly. It's like 46% of the attacks. But they are quite well protected. And so if you see what compromised data is on the web, well, on the web you have 60% that comes from the regular business sector, whereas they only have like 16% of their the data coming from the health sector. So there is, you can do something about it. That's the good news. But I think that it's really tomorrow the authorities and the public and the clients will, say, hey guys, did you do something? Did you look at it? So if, the company has been preparing that, it's going to be much, better prepared if there is a claim.
Sandrine, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your expertise with us. Pleasure to see you again.
Thank you very much.
That's all we've got time for right now, but do stay tuned to Dukascopy TV for plenty more exclusive interviews with industry leaders. Goodbye for now.